6,000 spectators were here last week for the Tour de Ski. Those numbers have swelled dramatically and the spirits seem to be a lot higher as well. It's the start of the Biathlon World Cup, their first race after the Christmas break. It's wet, it's foggy, it's windy, it's about as horrible as it possibly gets, but we're still looking forward to some pretty good racing. The women's relay coming up shortly.
It's great. Well, it's just normal Oberhof, isn't it? Wind, difficult shooting conditions, poor visibility, but that makes it more exciting, especially for me in the relays, and a little bit of rain thrown in there as well.
Well, as you can see, the stands are packed. They don't need to be able to see much apart from the big screen on the other side, but 20 minutes ago they could hardly see that, so they may feel they're not getting their money's worth. But it's nice to see them here. The big concern, Mike, is that with temperatures above zero, the rain and the wind, will the track survive?
Well, I know that they still have more snow. They've brought it so much snow by truck out onto the tracks and into the stadium. I know they still have plenty more snow in storage, so I think it will. There's a good base layer down, but it really is leaving fast with these warm temperatures, and especially when it rains, it just makes it disappear so quickly.
Yeah, well, for once, you'd certainly want to have been drawn to take the first leg, because they're going to get easy work compared to those who have to plough around this course on the final leg. Teams of four, of course, for the women's relay. That's something that's changed over the years. All the teams now deemed strong enough to field a team of four. Norway, I guess they're wearing bib number 1, so maybe that makes them the favourites. That's because they won the first of the relays in Hogfilsen. Ukraine, bib 2. Russia, the Olympic champions, bib 3. And the world champions, Germany, in bib number 4, but without Neuner. Henkel's not 100%. She's got a bit of a cold, so she's not racing today, and she doesn't think she's going to race in the sprint either. That's a big blow to her. And my money this evening is on the French. I think in these conditions, this is where they can come through. Well,
it wouldn't be a bad one. As you say, look at the wind flags here. And then the usual thing with Oberhof, it's more changeable than many other ranges. And in different parts of the range, it's very variable to another part of the shooting range. These are the spare weapons which each team has, and which only rarely are needed. But the spare rifle, and each athlete has it, or the numbers of adjustments on the sights to suit them.
Still a couple of minutes to go before the start of the women's 4x6 kilometre relay. And just looking for team news, there's not a huge amount really. Henkel's absence is one thing. The Norwegians have gone for the same team that won in Hogfilsen, no surprise there. So Tyrrell Eckhoff doesn't get a run out tonight. The Ukrainians might. It's a pretty strong team. I guess what's significant, in the first relay of the year, they put their best first and hoped the others would hang on, which they did. Today, they've got the confidence to put their weaker athletes first and hand the last two legs to Bedrushner and Shimarenko.
It certainly looks a very reliable team, and I think you need the reliability in these conditions in terms of hitting targets. Ukraine must be on paper, second best to French, especially Brune. Well, her statistics speak for themselves. 94% in the prone shooting and 92 in the stand. She is amazing.
Yeah, and she takes the first leg for the French. Sophie Boilly takes leg number 3. And on paper, the French look pretty good. They've given the honour of the ankle leg to Marie Dorin-Habert, who's 7th in the World Cup standing. So of all the French women, having the best season so far. Daria Domrasheva, still from a team that doesn't quite have enough talent to be a realistic chance of winning. But we'll wait and see and hope that she's somewhere near the leaders when she starts the final leg. The air temperature at 2 degrees. It's pretty grim, really. But every time we come to Oberhof, we get something different. There's the course, a couple of steep corners, and then the climb back up into the stadium that's well lined with spectators. So they'll get a little bit of help up there. And the distance of each lap, of course, just 2 kilometres, 3 times round to make up the 6 and the 2 shoots as well.
Just noticing total climb, Patrick, as all the teams are there. There's only 200 metres total climb within their each athlete's 6 kilometres. One of the easier courses, really, on the World Cup relay calendar.
Well, a temporary facelift, I think we could call that. It's not going to make a massive amount of difference. In fact, they're leaving bigger marks with their footprints than they're managing to scrape away. But just for the start, it will make the pictures look good. And let's just go through the lineups. And do remind us, we've got one bit of news from the French team. Those of you who were with us at the over the New Year period, racing in the Veltins Arena. Of course, you might have seen Martin Fourcade take a fall. All the news is that he's not going to start in the relay tomorrow. I think it's highly unlikely he'll start in the relay. He has done some serious damage to his shoulder, and if it's a rotator cuff injury, it could be. It could certainly have some influence over his chances of winning the overall World Cup.
Well, his brother, though, Simon, is back after his compartment syndrome operations, just 4 weeks ago.
So that's news for tomorrow. Today, it is all about the women, and the French with Brunet on the first leg will certainly be confident they'll still be in the running. What will the Germans do? Over the past 20 years, they've been the dominant team, but of late, they've struggled because they've had so many big retirements. Number 3, the Russians. They usually shoot better than any other team in the relay, and that's exactly what they did in Vancouver to win the Olympic title. Will they do the same again today? Ukraine on the outside, enjoying the fact that they are genuine contenders. Norway number 1, Hilda Fenner, taking their first leg. "18 teams in all, and just the top seeds on that front row. Norway, Ukraine, Russia, 1, 2, 3. Germany, France, Poland, 4, 5 and 6. 7 is Belarus, 8 is Slovakia. And team number 9, the Swedes, who haven't done better than a top 6 position in the last 4 World Cups. Now, Mike, definitely an advantage to lead, and I think Vitkova of the Czech Republic deciding that it was the best place to be.
It certainly is. You're out front, you're dictating everything yourself. I think the Czech Republic team, of course, Sokoleva had planned not to come here, so she's not in the team today. I would have put them as a chance for a medal here today, but maybe slightly weakened team without her.
Yeah, there are quite a few athletes missing. Bjorn Ferry's decided not to make the journey here. Stromstad has also done so from the Swedish women's team. In the Austrian outfit, the biggest name, Christoph Suman, has decided he's going to give this round of racing a miss. It's bad news for us, it's bad news for the spectators. Can you believe that Brunet has gone down? She doesn't miss a target, but she's missed a trick there with a bad mistake and losing some 25 seconds at least.
That's a lot of stress now, Patrick. She's detached from the group, and now she has to put in extra effort up here, therefore putting the pulse even higher early on. Take her out of her rhythm.
Yeah, but if you're going to make a mistake, make it in the first 500 metres and give yourself a chance to claw back slowly. Might play into her hands, Mike, that you take the lane on the range that corresponds with your bib number for the first shoot.
If Brunet, I didn't quite see it, looked like she did fall over. If she's fallen over backwards, then therefore her sights might have this mushy, wet snow blocking them.
Yeah, it's more likely that someone tripped her up, I think, and if that's the case, then you nearly always go forward. So hopefully her sights will be okay. Well, some very good skiing from the Swiss coming through in the early stages. And that was Selena Gasparin, who's setting the pace early on. This is Hilda Fenn, 48th in the World Cup standings at the moment, and took the third leg, incidentally, in the relay that Norway won. So the Norwegians have switched 1 and 3 around. That means that Fanehorn is now on leg 3, and Tora Berger taking leg number 4.
Well, this is worrying for the French team. Look way in the far distance. That's Brunet. She's going to be somewhat 15, maybe 20 seconds behind. And now it's a real case of her having to put herself under more pressure to try and close this gap.
Yeah, and she's getting the softest snow of everyone on the steep uphill climbs. Is she doing the right thing, just sticking at the back, Mike? Or my own feeling is that it's too much effort to try and work your way through the field at this stage.
I think she just needs to keep the pressure on, keep her pace strong so that she's not going to be detached any further. Look at the gaps here already in this group. Well, from this initially early group after just 3 minutes. I know that the technical delegate Robert Svalin at the meeting last night, he was asked if they're going to salt the course, therefore making the snow, well, dry it up, get the crystal sharper. I'm not sure they've done that. It certainly doesn't look like it.
The saving grace, I guess. That's a lovely shot. Hilda Fenner looking very, very focused, should we say, on her attempt to get round the corner. I think you have to bear in mind, we see when you watch alpine skiing on the TV, it makes cross-country downhill look slow, but you have to bear in mind that the boot is only attached to the ski by the smallest little binding. Just the first sort of 3 centimeters of the boot has control, and then of course you're so much more reliant on your balance. You don't have metal edges, you don't have a side cut in the ski, so you can't carve a turn. And it's all about feel and quite a lot of nerve involved.
Oh, it's a huge balancing act, and you can see as the athletes, as they press or get the pressure through the edge of the ski, the boot is totally detached through the heel, just presses onto a little plate to give it the stability.
I've always taken the approach that you will make mistakes on the downhill. It's just you have to be quick at recovering, and to achieve that you've got to be happy standing on one leg. I've always thought that's good practice for the downhill stages. Great if you can stay nice and well balanced on two, but it seldom happens.
It really is. There's Brunet now. What is that, 23 seconds behind? That's almost a penalty loop already behind the leaders.
But don't forget 3 spare rounds in the relay to clear the 5 targets. So 8 rounds available for each shoot. But the time taken to load each of the spare rounds manually is somewhere between 7 and 10 seconds. The colder it is, the longer it takes. But today, at +2 degrees, it's absolutely fine.
It's quite interesting, actually. We talk about cold temperatures affecting your fingers, but sometimes when the gloves get as wet as they are today, I know a lot of the athletes took a second pair out after they zeroed their weapons, but that's when your fingers become the worst, and trying to manipulate the spare bullets into the chamber, it might cause a little problem today.
Yeah, that's good to say. Good point. Good point. We'll have to see how that turns out. Each of them carrying the spare rounds in different places. You've got a magazine that only takes 5 rounds, so you can't sneakily put them in there. But athletes, some have them attached to a clip that goes on the back of the magazine, some put them on the stock.
That's right, mostly now they're in the stock and horizontally so that you can grab them quickly. So you just lean the rifle over, grab the spare bullet and place it. Bolt has to come back, obviously, to exit the spent bullet or round, and then you hand feed the next one forward. And the head of the bullet is only 5.2 millimeters wide, so you have to get that into the chamber.
And if you drop one in the snow, do you have to retrieve that one, or can you take another one out of the stock?
You can take another one, so you're only allowed to use 3. And if you have a problem, you can't find it, or there's any other issues, you put your hand up and a range official should come forward to ask your issue and should have another spare round for you.
Well, that's our first good indication of what the wind is doing at the moment. It's been chopping and changing all evening, so don't expect it to stay the same throughout the race. Remember, they go into the lane that corresponds with the bid number, but only for this first shoot. And so Norway in lane 1, Ukraine slow to take the position in 2, Russia is slightly behind times as well, Glazarina preparing to go into lane 3, Germany 4 with Bachmann, France 5 with Brunet, who is now coming into the range, and the Swiss with Gasparin flying through that first set of targets, and away they go. So a brilliant start from Switzerland, maybe inspired by Dario Colonia, who's doing so well on the Tour de Ski. Germany clear 5, Norway no mistakes, that's unusual for them in the first shoot of a